Good afternoon and welcome to the Firing Strategic Minerals PLC investor presentation. Throughout this recorded meeting, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. Can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. Just click Q&A, type in your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question received during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I'd like to submit the following poll. I'd now like to hand you over to the management team of Firing Strategic Minerals PLC. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, thank you, and thank you everyone. My name is Vasily. I'm one of the NEDs on FIRERING, and with me today as well as our CEO, who's based in Zambia, and we're going to be running you through this presentation on our lime project in Zambia. It's a fully constructed near-term quicklime production asset, and when I say near-term, we are on schedule to get the first kiln going in this next quarter. It's a fully permitted operation, fully constructed. It's an ex-Glencore project where they've had a historical spend of over $100 million. What you see in the top right-hand corner is not a stock photo, that's the actual facility itself. As you can see, it's quite a large facility. We have an SPA, an option agreement in place to purchase up to 45% of the operation, and we are in the final stages of getting everything up and running and in preparation for commissioning in December. In addition to Limeco in Zambia, we have our lithium exploration license in Cote d'Ivoire, where we've carried out 2 drilling campaigns, and we currently have interest from third parties that are currently looking at taking that project forward. A little bit about quicklime. In Zambia, it does the price range varies from between $160 to $220 a ton. The president in Zambia has set himself a goal of increasing the copper production in Zambia to 3 million tons per annum. At the moment, they're less than 1 million tons per annum, and quicklime is directly linked to copper production. It's widely used in the flotation of copper sulfide minerals, and so therefore, as it is at the moment, there's a shortage in country, and with the forecasted increase in copper price and forecasted increased production in country, there's going to be an increase in demand for the product for quicklime. Apart from the mining industry, it's also used in the agriculture. It's used in the chemical industry. It's used in the construction industry. So, although at the moment our main focus is to provide, to provide the product into the mining space, we are at the same time keeping our options open and looking to provide quicklime into other sectors as well. A little bit about Zambia for those of you that don't know about it. It's a landlocked country, but accessed by the various ports around sub-Saharan Africa. Copper is the main export earning. It generates 70% of Zambia's export earnings, and it's strategically located. It's between Zambia and the DRC. You have the African Copper Belt, and that's where most of the copper is coming out of Africa at the moment. Good place to work. It's a pleasant, stable environment to do business. A little bit about the opportunity itself. The picture there, that basically is what it is. We have the facility in the top right-hand corner, and the quarry where there has already been a little bit of mining. The current resource, there's 74 million tons of material, and with that resource, we're looking at a 30-year mine life with the current 8 kilns that we have on site, which produce roughly between 600 to 800 tons of quicklime per day. There is an additional resource to the south of the current resource, and we've just recently been awarded the license for that. So we're now in the process of carrying out an update to the resource, and I'll share a little bit more background to that on the next slide. As I mentioned, this facility was established by Glencore, and that was really to supply the Mopani mine, which it had at the time. We are close to the Mopani mine is currently being mothballed, but it's currently being acquired by the IRH out of the Emirates, and they'll be looking to turn that on soon as well. So along with that and KCM and all the existing operations, the future the demand is there for quicklime. A little bit about the resource. The coloured blocks that you see there make up the 74 million tonne resource. The pink lines that you see are the actual drill holes. So as you can see, we got some white blocks, and those were the part of the resource that weren't in the license. As I've mentioned, we now have that area under license, and we are in the process of adding that resource to the current one, and we believe that will probably double the current 70 million tonnes that we have there. So one is looking at, with the additional resource, potentially another 60 years, so plenty of material in the ground, and therefore plenty. We do have the option to scale up should the demand be there for that in country. At this point, I'll hand over to our CEO, who's, as I said, is currently in Zambia, and he can run you through what he's actually been doing on site and all the good things that are happening leading up to commissioning.
Thank you, Vasily. Thank you, Vasily. As you can see, this site is fully constructed. The main improvement that we did is for the crushing circuit. We had the impact crusher in order to improve the crushing. In addition to that, as you can see, we have 8 kilns with the capacity of 600 to 800 tons a day. The main modification that we are doing at the moment is changing the energy source from HFO into coal gasification. It's give us a few advantages. The main advantage is that the coal is coming from Zambia. It's more economical, but it's also more environmental friendly, the process. So we are in this modification stage. From the past, we have an additional stockpiles next to the crushing plant. We have over 150,000 tons of material that mined next to the crusher, and additional what we call today a secondary stockpile of 250,000 tons that located next to the pit. Currently, we have a revenue channels that we coming from 3 different sources. Main is the aggregate. Second is the logistic agreement that we have with third party, and some additional equipment that we are renting. So overall, we are cash flow positive operationally, and all the investment that coming is going into the capex investment. A bit about the timeline. As you can see, we are already respecting the timeline, and we started the modification in H1 of 2024. We are on schedule to bring the gasifier on site. It's on its way, and we should be able to respect the timetable to start the first kiln in Q4, 2024. And afterwards, as you can see, we should operate the 4 kilns in the Q1 2025 and 8 kilns Q3 2025. Quick overview on our activities in Ivory Coast. This is an exploration project in the north of Ivory Coast. It's contains 500 square kilometers of exploration for lithium. We did some scout drilling campaign, and the main results were positive. In the first campaign, the best result was 64 meters at 1.24% lithium, and and it was one of the top 10 hits all over the world in this particular time. Currently, our main focus and interest is going into Limeco and starting the first kiln, but in the background we have also this project. Thank you very much. I will hand it to
Thank you, Yuval. Thanks, Yuval. At this point, I think I'll open up to the Q&A. I see there's a few questions have come through, so I'll start reading through them and answering as best we can. How far down the line are you with offtake discussions, and when can we expect news? These are ongoing. We're now in a position to actually send material to the relevant interested parties, which we have, and we're now at the stages where they've come back to us and given us the green light in terms of the product being good enough, and we're down to discussions of pricing. So these are ongoing, and obviously once they are firmed up and signed up, then we'll be in a position to announce. But obviously, we expect that before the end of the year, and be able to then start selling material from the first kiln when that comes online in December. Next question: how much cash flow is Limeco already generating from ancillary revenue streams? I'll hand it over to Yuval. He's on the ground, so he's got his hands on the pulse in the bank account, so he can advise what we're doing there. Yuval?
Thank you, Vasily. As I said, there are three main channels of revenue. The revenues currently are around $150,000 US, and the profit is around $50,000 from that.
So that's even before the first kiln is up and running, we're already cash flow positive. So that's pretty good. Next question. What a good question. So what are the expected revenue profitability from the Limeco project once production ramps up to 600 to 800 tons per day? At the moment, we're looking at somewhere between $33 to $35 million a year, and that's based on the base case price of $160 a ton. So that's with all 8 kilns up and running, which should be by the middle of next year. Next question: how do you plan to scale up revenue from Limeco in the medium term? So as I mentioned, we've got the resource base there for 60 years based on the 2 batches of 8 kilns there. So obviously we have the resource base to add another batch of kilns, so we could expand the resource that way. But probably more realistically is we do have a cement plant that's sitting in containers on site. The foundations for the cement plant have already been set, and that would be the obvious next thing to do because it doesn't require any capital in terms of buying any equipment in, as it's already on site. And so instead of selling aggregate at the gate for $5 to $6 a ton, we'd be looking to sell cement, and that putting the aggregate through the cement plant and producing cement, and that there sells at $120 a ton. So that would theoretically add another sort of $20 million to the bottom line in terms of revenue. But we haven't really looked at that in great detail yet. We've been very focused on getting the kilns up and running, but that would be the next thing we'd do in the medium term. Next question. You mentioned Glencore spent $100 million on the facility. What is the current ownership structure of the assets on the ground in the first few images? So basically, we've basically got a payment plan in place where we're acquiring our position to get up to 45%. So at the moment, we're sitting at about 10-15%. And then as we buy our way in and get ourselves up to 45%. How much capital is required to ramp up to full capacity? As you can see, the actual facility has been built. The capital has been sunk. The work that we have been doing has mainly been replacing, wearable bits and pieces such as conveyor belts. We've done some modifications to the bottom of the kilns, and the big thing that we've done is converted the way the kilns are fired, whereas in the past they were fired using heavy fuel oil, and now we're converting that to fire for using a coal gasification. How close to an off-take contract are we? I think I've just answered that. What is the NPV of the Lime project? Depending on how the metrics and pricing and so forth, but anything between $100 to $150 million. And at the moment, obviously, once the off-takes are in place and pricing is firm, then that number will be firmed up as well. Is Limeco primarily a strategic shift brought in to fund ongoing work at Atex, or is Limeco to become our new primary concern? Look, we ended up in a situation where this opportunity came to us. Usually, a junior exploration company, they can be exploring for 10, 15 years and still not have anything that's producing. So it was quite a unique opportunity that we were in the right place at the right time. So, I would say that Limeco is now the primary asset and focus for the company going forward. Do you need capital to realize the current project? Capital, at the moment, the most of the capital has gone in, and once the first kiln is up and running, it will be self-funding, really. As it is, it's cash flow positive. What are the main risks to Limeco project? Well, you've got a resource that's already been drilled out, and we're currently doing the update to the resource. We've got a plant that's already built. We've got a project that's been fully permitted, so we've got all the licenses in place to operate. And we are now in the process of turning on the first kiln in December, with the remaining kilns sequentially coming on stream sort of months thereafter. So the project has been significantly de-risked. In terms of exploration risk, in terms of capital risk, so there is as far as I can see, very low risk at this point in time. I think that's it for now. So in summary, we have a clear path to early cash flow, with the first kiln coming online in December. As I mentioned, off-take agreements for the product are quite advanced. We're in a market where the demand for the product is there. In actual fact, there's a deficit in country. And, what I haven't touched on is the people. And, our main shareholders, which includes our chairman, have got interests in a quick lime operation in Israel. So, we know what we're doing. It's not something that is foreign to us. It's something that the core team that are driving this have been producing quick lime for the last 10, 15 years. And so I'll end it there.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Yuval. Thank you very much indeed for the presentation and taking all those questions. Of course, any further questions that do come in, the team will have the ability to review those, and we will publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Look, I'd like to thank the team for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close this session? You should now automatically be redirected to provide your feedback in order for the management team better understand your views and expectations. It's only take a few moments to complete, and I know it's greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Firing Strategic Minerals PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That concludes today's session, and good afternoon to you all.